So what are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about the definition, the use, the why, the tips and trick, the difference between them, and the example exercises about motifs and symbols. What are motifs and symbols? So what is a motif? A motif is an image, a sound, a word, or any visual representation. It's used to develop the theme. So the theme is going to be there, and it's going to be there to back it up and make sure it's actually true and really prove the message of the author. It's a repeated pattern. It's going to be repeated constantly through the story, and it's related to the main idea of the text. So again, it's going to back up that main idea and make it more clear to the reader. And it supports the message of the author. It also supports the theme, and it also supports the main idea. It's really there to back up anything that the writer wants to say and have the reader really understand.
Symbols can be represented as images, written words, pictures, ideas, and beliefs. They can also hint to something else that is not being popping out into the story. It can also be an action with a literal meaning behind it. They're also subtle and indirect, and they suggest or represent other meanings that can be hidden in the story.
The difference between them. How do you know the difference between the two? A motif and symbols are very similar, but there are a couple differences that can help you recognize each. A motif is constantly repeated. Okay, you're going to see it throughout the story. It's also a tangible thing, which means it's observable. Like a green lantern, you can physically see it and imagine it during your story. A symbol is only repeated once or twice, so you're not going to see it multiple times. A symbol is also used to make a connection with something else. And it's also abstract, which means it's a feeling, so you can't actually physically touch it or see it, like a feeling of love or an underlying loneliness. Why use motifs and symbols? So why would we use a motif? So it really allows the author or writer to communicate their message to the reader, for them to really understand what they mean during the story. It also gives clues and reinforces the theme. So it really makes that theme really more well communicated and clearer to the reader. And it also gives a more poetic and structure to the theme, the communication, the reader, the image, or anything that's symbolized a motif.
Symbols can carry a message to the reader without the author having to actually say it, and to really reach the reader within what they're saying. It can also have a cultural meaning behind it and can be used to advertise multiple things. Here are a few examples of both motifs and symbols.
So here's a couple examples of symbols. So first you have the image of a flower, which is a symbol for spring. And spring there means a new beginning or something new. It's how it's mostly used during texts. Also the image of the heart, which means it's a symbol for love. It's a very popular symbol again. And then you have a snake, which is a symbol for evil, mean, danger. It's a very obvious symbol because it's used very often during text. You can see that there's often image on swords and stuff that means those different meanings.
Here are a few examples of motifs. Motifs can be represented through seasons, as in summer can represent happiness, and winter can represent death and sadness. Also, the little lightning bolt on Harry Potter's forehead is another motif that comes back multiple times during the movie and the books.